Okay, so we are going to do some quick keto cooking tonight, and I'm going to be making steaks and sauteed mushrooms. So let's go ahead and get started. So I have my carbon steel pan here, and it is very hot, and I have it up quite high. It's on in between 7 and 8 if you have a numbered burner, or medium high basically. And I'm going to sear the outsides of my steaks for 3 minutes on each side. And then I'm going to butter baste them to finish cooking them. So I have 2 steaks here. These happen to be sirloin, even though they have a nice fat cap, which is really nice, and they have some good marbling. I got sirloins because that was what I could find and what was on sale. So I'm going to start with 1 steak at a time, and I'm going to sear at very high heat for 3 minutes on each side. And you want to start with your steak unseasoned and patted dry. If you were to season it at this point and then try and sear it, you could burn your seasoning, and that would be very acrid and unpleasant. So you don't want to do that at this point. 3 minutes, and we're ready to flip it, and you'll see the beautiful hard sears that we got. Isn't that gorgeous? 3 minutes on the other side. Okay, it has been 3 minutes. I'm now going to turn down my burner to about medium or 6. And let that cool down for just a second. What's nice about carbon steel is that it changes temperature rapidly, because it's a hybrid of a wok and a cast iron skillet. So it is able to change temperature very rapidly, which is wonderful for searing steak. So now I am going to butter baste my steak to finish the cooking process. So I have about a tablespoon of butter here, and I'm putting it into my pan. And my pan has cooled down enough that the butter is not going to burn. So now I'm just going to start taking my melting butter and continuing to cook the steak as it is still of temperature. So your hot butter is actually going to finish cooking your steak. This is how they do it in restaurants. They also do it with different types of fish. So you still have a nice even temperature going on with your steak, but the hot butter is actually what's cooking it. And this technique is wonderful for all cuts of steak, but it's especially beneficial for steaks that maybe are not as fatty like a sirloin that we have here. And this only takes a minute or 2 to come to temperature, and you can see that the butter is nice and brown. Brown butter is so delicious. So it only takes a minute or 2 to get to the medium rare point, which is the way that CJ and I like our steaks. Now everything is beautiful and buttery. I'm going to get him out and let him rest while I do the other steak. Now this is the point in which I will season my steak on both sides while it's resting, and that way I get the full flavor of my seasonings. I'm going to be using the Master Salt by Kinder, which is salt, pepper, garlic, and a little bit of buttery steakhouse seasoning. So I have about 3 tablespoons of butter that I've melted here in my saucepan, and I'm going to add my mushrooms to it. I have about 8 ounces of cremini mushrooms. And I'm just going to saute those until they soften, and then I will add garlic and some herbs.
I can't see you because of all the smoke.
SOS! Send help! Okay, so back to our mushrooms. They've all softened. Now I'm going to add a little bit of garlic. I just have squeezable garlic here. You can use fresh garlic, you can use garlic powder, you can do whatever you would like to do. This is going to be delicious on top of our steaks. Now the last thing that I'm going to add in is a little bit of fresh thyme that I have chopped and I needed to use up in the refrigerator. You could use dried herbs if you wanted or nothing at all. And I'm turning the heat off, so just the residual heat of the cooking mushrooms will incorporate the garlic and the thyme. So there are our beautiful sautéed mushrooms.
So we like our steaks.
It's medium rare.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Medium rare.
And those mushrooms are so good. You can really taste the fresh herbs.